What up? Let's go. What's up, y'all? Let's go. It's Nino Radio, Twilight Tuesday. Oh, let me turn on my fireplace, y'all. Hold on real quick. Let's go. And here we are, y'all. God bless all the patriots, y'all. God bless y'all. We got a special show for y'all today, y'all. Man, we got something special for everybody, y'all. We're chilling, y'all. It's Twilight Tuesday. We got a special show, y'all. Thank y'all for joining us. Without further ado, we're going to get right into it, y'all. Thank y'all, patriots. God bless everybody watching today. We got a special show that we're lining up right now. Chrissy, the moderator's in here. All my team's in here. And we winning. Straight up. Guys, see if y'all can hear me here. We wanted to kind of switch it up here. And I'm going to go ahead and bring my co-host. And we went ahead and decided on letting him call in. Right? We wanted to kind of make kind of special. And we're going to start doing these shows on Tuesdays. But without further ado, let me go ahead and introduce my co-host, Don Kizzle. And God bless everybody jumping on. And welcome to Twilight Tuesday, y'all. All right. So check this out real quick, y'all. Let me get this going here. Y'all forgive me. Y'all forgive me. We're finna put Don Kizzle on right now, y'all. So let's cut the music out, y'all. Thank y'all for joining us on this Tuesday, right? We're gonna start doing this show every Tuesday, hopefully, God willingly, and it's gonna be a little segue from the politics. But without further ado, y'all, let me introduce my co-host, the one, the only. Let me see if I can get him in here. Oh, Don Kizzle. What's up, Don Q?
Brother.
You there?
Nino, am I coming in? Can you hear me?
You coming in loud and clear, Don Q. What's
there
up?
There we go. Not much. How's it going? We're here on a Tuesday evening.
It's a Tuesday, Don Q. How are you doing today, brother?
I'm feeling good, Nino. I'm feeling good. I'm about a couple hours away from this big event that I got lined up where I get to make my voice heard in my community. So I'm fired up. I'm feeling good. Feel that my prayers have been answered, brother. God's definitely sending me some wisdom and words of encouragement. So I'm feeling good.
Awesome. That's good to hear, Don Q. I know you're out there fighting the good fight, brother, and God bless you for that. Don Q, ladies and gentlemen. All right, brother. Without further ado, we're going to do our new segment. Can you please tell the people what we plan on doing with this new segment? We can how you say, walk and chew bubblegum at the same time. Some people don't like that. We're kind of segueing away from politics a little bit. But can you talk to the people and tell them what we got going with this Twilight Tuesday? Go ahead, Don Q.
Well, one thing I've always talked about, is it's more, it's a mental exercise. It's good to keep our imagination going, and it's good to look at things from a different perspective, maybe a different knowledge of history, maybe put together some pieces, some questions you've had on some things you've researched. Like I said, the conspiracy theories, as we talked about, there's hundreds of rabbit holes, and surprisingly, quite a bit of them have a foundation in truth. There is little shrivels there for you to kind of dissect and take on your own. So this is just a mental exercise. Keep people sharp, keep us growing, and keep us in tune to what's going on around us. Make sure that we're not getting closed in a box and having a biased view on things. So we're here to have fun and exercise and hear a story maybe you've never heard before. Wow,
awesome. We're going to be doing this every Tuesday. It's Nino Radio. Thank y'all for joining us. Everybody's in here. There's Albert. Albert's in here. God bless Albert. Okay, guys, without further ado, we don't got much time, y'all. I took a little bit of time to even set up everything, y'all. It was kind of a pain in the neck, but that's how it is, y'all, when you're running a live setup solo bolo. So God bless everybody jumping on. Let's get right to it. Don Q, this is our first show of Twilight Tuesday, and we're going to talk about Roswell. This one's called the Roswell Truth, ladies and gentlemen. So, Don Kizzle, you came to me with this idea today, and basically you told me, bro, that you have some info here, regarding somebody that's no longer here. Is that correct? Can you just preface this?
That is correct. We're going to be telling a story from the perspective of the only female nurse to be present at the Roswell crash, and her story from that day, from that moment on, is going to be kind of her story, her take, and her first account of everything that took place.
Okay. And how credible is this eyewitness or this person, Don Q? Why should we believe her or believe you?
Well, so doing a little bit of history, and I'll make sure to give you this lady's name. You can do some research into her. She was part of the Army. She was stationed at Roswell during this time. So if you need a little bit of foundation of truth, the name and her rank and who she was is all there for you to look and see for yourself, along with other generals and lieutenants that have come forward with the same collaborating stories. So in our world, kind of this, exploring UFOs, aliens, different lives on planets, which I've gone down this rabbit hole quite significantly. And one thing, just a disclaimer I want to throw out to all the beautiful people down there, don't be afraid to go down this rabbit hole, because I think you'll find, just like me, it comes back to the Father. It comes back to the Creator. No matter how far out your mind can go with it, it still comes back to God. So don't be afraid to look at some of these things and venture out.
Amen. Totally. All right, Don Kizzle. So going to preface your story and get started on what was happening. Everybody jumping on, y'all. It's Twilight Tuesday. It's a new segment we will be doing, and we hope y'all enjoy it. Y'all, it's Don Kizzle on the phone. Go ahead, Don Q.
Okay, so we titled this one Roswell Truth because we're going to give you perspective. It's not the truth that happened at Roswell, even though that's easy. That's easy to find out for yourself, and we know what happened. This is the truth that was given to Miss Matilda from the alien that was recovered from the crash, the history of humanity here on this earth, and how we're looked at in the universe. So this is going to be a whole different twist and turn than you're expecting. This isn't just about a crash and little aliens that, talk or have little weapons like Men in Black. This is a whole different perspective from somebody that's been observing Earth for thousands and thousands of years. So we're going to flash back to July 8th, 1947, roughly about 7 p.m. at night. Is where the story will take place.
All right, go ahead, Don Kizzle. Preface us on what happened here, and it's all yours. Go ahead, Don Q.
Okay, perfect. So we're going to give a little story, and I'm going to kind of move around a little bit, so stay with Don Q here. So we're going to flash back, like I said, to July 8th, 1947. This is the day of the Roswell crash in New Mexico. Flash forward in time. We're about 8 p.m. at night. Most of the personnel at the base have gone home. Pilots, different internal personnel, they've all gone home. The last remaining people is Lieutenant Philip Corso and a nurse by the name of Matilda O'Donell MacElroys. Okay. Matilda O'Donell MacElroys was the only female nurse on the base at the time. So at this time, roughly some phone calls start coming into the base. Miss Matilda, here's the calls, kind of ignores them because it's not her job to answer these calls. There's lieutenants, there's other people there that answer these phones. So, but she knows something's going on, because for phone calls becoming this late at night, when so many personnel have gone home from the base, it's just a little strange. It's just out of the ordinary. So, okay. So immediately she overhears the conversation, and she can hear the urgency in the lieutenant's voice as he's taking this call. He immediately comes in the room, and he asks Miss Matilda to please accompany him to a crash site not far from the base. And of course, Miss Matilda has questions. She wants to know, what's this related to? Is it our own? Should she take any equipment? The lieutenant tells her basically at this time he has no answers, to just bring basically a simple medical bag, and anything extra that they need, they'll bring injured and or dead, deceased to the base, because they were in such a close proximity. So that was the reason for the urgency. They jump in the Jeep and they drive out to the crash site. Okay. So we're going to pause the story right there. And I want to kind of preface to a story, or rather a little backstory on Miss Matilda. Okay. Miss Matilda was, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, she was around 22 years old at the time that this story is taking place in Roswell. So she's a young nurse, fresh out of college, just kind of getting her legs under her, away from home. So this is kind of just, her first assignment. That's where she's at in life. So she's kind of new to everything, secret missions, undercover, secret top secret missions, all that stuff happening. She's not too savvy to. She's literally just kind of green, a new nurse on the job. So this happens to Miss Matilda when she's 22 years old. And as we'll continue in the story, for everything that happened to Miss Matilda, she kept quiet for 60 years. Okay. So for 60 years until she died, she never told a soul this story. What had happened in 1980, there was a famous author, his last name is Spencer. He wrote a book called The Oz Factors. Well, in the mid 80s, he had gone looking for Miss Matilda. He knew from records, governmental records, internal military records, that she was the only female nurse present on the base. He didn't know if she had seen anything. He didn't know if she was solving anything. He just knew that she was at the base and he had questions for her. So he had done a little bit of investigating and tried to track her down. She had gotten wind of this, that this gentleman was looking for her, and had intentionally avoided him in person. She didn't want to meet anyone face to face. She didn't want to get caught in any corners or say something that she knew she just shouldn't say, because she had signed NDAs. She knew the information that she had was not to be, that she was discharged from the service. So this gentleman tries to contact her through some friends. She gets word. Long story short, he ends up actually having a phone call with her, a little 2-minute phone call, introducing himself, telling her what she's doing. And she just wasn't interested. She just wasn't ready at that time in life to tell her story. So she kind of ignored him, blew him off. And fast forward to when she's on her deathbed now. And this gentleman had written the book, The Oz Factor, which she had gotten a chance to read. And after she read it, she realized this wasn't just an author out for a hit piece or somebody trying to discredit everything that she was about to say. This was somebody actually intrigued, that wanted to know the information, that wanted to dive down deeper and find out the truth of what happened. So she actually had a kind of a guilty moment where she felt bad for ignoring him and turning the cold shoulder to him without really knowing who she was. So Miss Matilda takes her old typewriter and in proper fashion, this was the same typewriter that she possessed at Roswell, that she wrote all of her reports on, and where she wrote every single interaction with the aliens. So she takes this typewriter out and writes a small letter to this author, to Mr. Spencer, and writes a letter basically explaining that she was the nurse at Roswell, that she was witness to the crash, and basically everything that happened from there. So that's how we got the story of Miss Matilda. That's how we were able to put together all the pieces of the story you're about to hear right now. So again, we flash forward. Now we're going to flash back to, we're inside the Jeep and we're driving. Miss Matilda is sitting next to Lieutenant Corso. They start to approach the crash site. And again, this is at night. She can see lights in the distance. And she quickly realizes as they get closer, this is not a Soviet war plane. This is not a bomber that just crashed. This is something she's never seen before. This is a disc-shaped object, half sticking out of the ground. The front half wasn't buried in the ground. It's just the dirt had risen above it to where you really couldn't make out the front portion of the ship, but you could make out the back portion. As the Jeep pulls up to the crash site, there's two bodies. Of course, she does not recognize them as human form, laying to the side, and there's about 3 or 4 Army men around the two. As she approaches the crash site, immediately she starts getting what she knows to be telepathic images. But basically, as she gets to the crash site closer and closer, her mind is flooded with imagery to where she almost can't articulate words. She gets so bombarded with these pictures and this thought that she can't even talk to the lieutenant next to her. He's kind of asking her questions like, hey, are you seeing this? Are you ready? Kind of preparing as they're driving to the crash site. But as they get closer, her mind just keeps getting fluttered and clustered with just imagery, and she doesn't understand what's going on. As she gets out of the Jeep, again, she's kind of, a little weary, she's having this personal experience. She's not sure if anyone else is, because their actions and the way that they're moving, it's not really signifying that they're going through the same visual kind of content that she is. Yeah. And again, this is ground zero for her as far as she knows nothing from this point forward. So it's a bit overwhelming. She knows she's getting imagery. She can't put it together, and she doesn't know where it's coming from. She almost has a breakdown moment where she was afraid, she was losing her mind, and she didn't understand that because, she was prepared for this. She was a wartime nurse. She was ready for combat. She was ready for, situations that will cause you to have this type of mental fleeing thoughts where you can't really, she's a trained soldier. She's ready for this. So she's totally at odds with what's going on. As she approaches the craft, again, she's observing, taking in everything. But this is out of a sci-fi movie. Imagine yourself being on a crash site with beings you've never seen before in your life. So as she approaches the craft, she realizes that some of the soldiers are removing a being from a craft that is still alive. It's still making subtle movements.
Wow.
And all of a sudden, as the being looks at her, the imagery becomes more intense, and Miss Matilda realizes that the being is communicating with her. Immediately, she runs to Lieutenant Corso. Go ahead, Neil.
Telepathically, correct?
Telepathically, correct. So immediately Matilda, go ahead.
Well, I don't mean to cut you off, but they kind of coincide with what they say about these beings. I don't know if they can, talk telepathically. I'm not saying I believe any of this, but continue with the story, Don Kizzle.
Exactly. So Matilda finds Philip Corso and immediately lets the lieutenant know that imagery in her mind, telepathic message that she didn't receive before. She's only receiving it in proximity to the alien. At first, Lieutenant kind of brushes it off. Again, he's in the same position she is. They're in basically a sci-fi movie set with no cameras or directors around, trying to comprehend exactly. So even his train of thought that he says later in his books that correlate with Miss Matilda, he was not even in his right thought. He couldn't even comprehend exactly what was going on. So go ahead.
So basically you're saying they were like hit with some kind of a mental fog. Is that a fair statement? Something like that? Don Kizzle, can you hear me? Hello?
Nino, you there?
Yeah. So
Okay.
So were they hit with some kind of a mental fog or something like that? All of them? Is that what you're basically saying?
No, Nino. It's more. Let's put it into real time. I don't know if anyone's been in a car accident or if anybody's had anything traumatic happen. But when it happens at a drop of a hat, your mind can go blank. Your emotions, your train of thought, your hardened mentality can go out the window in a very traumatic moment. And that's kind of from reading her book and reading Lieutenant Corso's. That's the vibe that I get. It was just a freak incident that you couldn't put words to it. You couldn't define it. And you couldn't come back to that foundation of you knew what was going on. It was just too spread out. It was too chaotic.
Okay, continue.
Okay, so Lieutenant Corso kind of, blows off Miss Matilda. Like I said, he's trying to figure this out, but he didn't forget what she said. So the scene plays out just like it should, just like anyone would think, with government personnel. They take the two deceased body, or rather they take all three bodies from the craft back to the base. The two bodies that were dead, Miss Matilda even says she does not know what happens to them. Most likely they were, experimented on, dissected, all of this stuff to figure out who and what they were. The one alien that was alive was brought into a medical facility, and he was immediately tests were done on him. And Miss Matilda was privy to this. Not that she ever got to see any of this, because again, this is compartmentalization. This is real government internal stuff where not everyone gets to see what's going on. You can be there, you can be on the base, but what happens behind certain doors, you're not privy to. And that's exactly what she says when the alien first arrived to the base was, what they did to him or her or this being, she's not really privy to. But what she does understand is in a very short period of time, they understood that it feels no pain. It needs no food or resources. It does not go to the restroom. It does not need anything that this human Earth provides or that humans can do to it. So immediately when the military figured out, they changed into an interrogation role instead of a, torture. We want to find out what you're about. Because think of it from our perspective, right? Especially from military, we're already on guard with nations around the world. If you have a UFO or aliens you've never seen before in your life, your first questions are going to be, what are you doing here and what is your purpose? And, with a little bit of fear mixed in there, that's going to cause a certain reaction. So that's exactly what happened when the alien was first brought to the base. After the dust settled, they knew what they had on their hands, so to speak. So they get together, the military minds behind the door get together, and they start figuring out how they're going to communicate. And of course, they try the simple ways. They bring somebody in to talk. They bring a stenographer to, type words. They bring books. They bring everything. Zero, absolutely nothing from the alien for the first date.
Don, right quick,
Yes.
Don, you said that they don't eat, drink, whatever. Do they die?
They do not, and we'll get to that later in the story because that comes back to who and what we are. So,
Wow.
Matilda is literally, she's trying to go about her daily routine, but she knows nothing is going to go back to normal. I mean, even her daily tasks are being changed. Where before she would go to certain barracks, she would go to certain hangars on the base because, Roswell and the bases in New Mexico are extremely large. So she normally got to move about. For whatever reason, they kept her in this building, again, with all of these lieutenants, different people, and she knew the alien was housed in this building. So she knew, for whatever reason, whether she had saw enough, she knew she was in for something. She knew that either she was going to play a part in how this went forward, or, she actually writes in her book that she was a little fearful. She was a little fearful that she kind of witnessed this and had this knowledge because she saw the reaction from our military, from some very powerful people in our government. It was a fear reaction. It wasn't a curiosity. It was a fear reaction. So she was afraid. So anyways, all of this is going through her head. All of a sudden, Lieutenant Corso comes to the room and he says, look, Miss Matilda, we know, or I remember what you said from the crash site. I've shared it with the group. And again, when I say the group, when we say the people behind the scenes, because the alien and Matilda talk about them, think about it like a collective of the world's most powerful people. So at this time, other government officials were flying into Roswell along with our people. Basically, anyone that we were in alliance with, powerful, smart people were flown in because we had something new and we quickly need to figure out what this was. We needed to know if it was a threat or a benefit.
Hey, Don, who was the president? Who was the president at that time?
Gosh, I knew you were going to hit me with that. It's 1947. It's 2 years after we came out of World War II. So it's not. Is it Truman? Gosh, dang it! I'm dying here on history. I can't nail down the president specifically. I know somebody's going to hit it in the comments real quick. But it's 1947. It's July 8th, 1947. We're at Anyway, so Lieutenant Corso, again, he talks with this group, government personnel from around the world, and says, look, this is what Nurse Matilda told me on the crash site, that she was getting bombarded with telepathic imagery. We're basically hitting a brick wall here. Let's give it a shot. So they sit down, they talk, and they decide, okay, this is basically the only option we got left. We need to know what threat we're dealing with. Let's bring Matilda in and talk to her, give her an idea, and we'll take it from there. So Matilda comes into the room with all these generals, military men, and of course, she's just intimidated. I mean, she talks about her knees shaking at the table. She couldn't believe that she was in this place, first of all. She was actually very upset because this was not what she had gone to school for. Again, she was going back to all of her worldly things, right? Like, she just wanted to be a nurse. She was thinking about her family back at home, not even realizing the whole spectrum, the whole, what she had here, what exactly had happened in her life and how much her life would change moving forward. So she's sitting there with the generals, knee rattling, and they're asking her, look, we'll always be with you. You'll have somebody in the room with you, along with the sonograph or a person, that's literally going to be typing word for word everything you say. The being is basically handcuffed to the chair. It cannot move. We don't want you to be afraid. And behind the glass is the entire group. There's literally over 20 men behind this glass. We're observing, watching. So do not be afraid. We are going to give you 10 preloaded questions. That's what we're going to start with first. Let's see how it goes from there. Because again, all of them don't even know how this question and answer is going to go. Everything's up in the air. So Miss Matilda gets these 10 questions. She reviews them, and she even shares, they're as simple and pretty basic as you can get. Just imagine yourself in this position. What would you ask if you needed to get direct and straight to the point? And that's exactly what these questions
Hey, Don Q, real quick, and exactly to reminding people, because I didn't catch it. I was having problems with the stream earlier, but how is this coming out of you like this, Don Q? Like, I mean, you might have said it earlier, but I missed it. But how are you saying this word for word? It's like I'm living it with this woman. How do you know this exactly, Don?
The message will come later in the story,
Don Q does not. Don Q delivers, y'all. This is what we're doing. This is our show, everybody. They put the graphic back up. We're doing a little plug, y'all, for our show. It's called, if I can pull it up, Twilight Tuesday, y'all. So y'all, welcome to the show, Twilight Tuesday. The Roswell Truth. On the phone is Don Q. Everybody jumping on, y'all, and pretty interesting info. A woman, right? Real quick recap while everybody's jumping on. Don Q. It's a lady, yep. Miss Matilda. She was what was her position again?
She was the head nurse at the Roswell, New Mexico base. She was part of the 509th Bomb Division, 1st Air Transit Unit. That's her correct title. So it's Miss Matilda O'Donell MacElroy.
Okay, continue, Don Q. I just had to do that little quick commercial break for our show.
Now, and stay with me, everybody. Stay with me. Every key part of this story is going to be very vital because it all will come back full circle. So Miss Matilda's sitting there at the table. Again, we're sitting with a group of generals, personnel from around the world, and Miss Matilda's knees are rattling. They give her the preloaded 10 questions. And like I said, this is as basic as it gets. These are, what is your purpose? Do you intend to harm or hurt humanity? Pretty basic questions, right? So Miss Matilda goes in the room. She's accompanied by a soldier over her left shoulder and a lady with a typewriter to her right, and the alien being in front of her. Now, the description she gives of this alien being is basically that of a 5-year-old child, about 40 inches tall, has 3 fingers, 3 toes on each hand, and it only has eyes, no other facial features, no nose, no mouth, and no ears. And the eyes do not have any type of eyelid or anything. They're just she said it was almost like staring into an abyss. You couldn't see anything. You couldn't even tell if the being was alive or dead when it was sitting right in front of you. It made no movement. It made no sounds. So it just sat there like a doll. They actually call it a doll. It's a doll body is basically what you need to picture. So no animation. The alien never lifts its arm. It never talks. It never does anything. These beings are completely telepathic. They do no other means of communication, nor do they care for any other means of communication. So Miss Matilda's sitting there in the room, and she starts to go through these 10 questions. So the first question is, what is your purpose here on Earth, and why did you come here? She asks that question, and she pauses for a moment. Again, this is her first interaction with the being, so even she's a little intimidated. The being sends an image to her mind, and immediately she gets it, and she says the word out loud. She says, "Whoa!" And the person typing takes it down, and of course the generals behind the glass, they all get disgruntled. And what does that mean? What kind of answer is that to the question? And Miss Matilda kind of does this with her hand to the glass, like, "Hey boys, calm down. That's just me reacting. I'm trying to put," basically what she was trying to tell them was, "Hey, this is my first time communicating like this. I need you guys to give me a little bit of string here. I need a little bit of weight. I need a little bit of patience." So she understands quickly that the being is not going to talk, it's not going to move, that it is going to be telepathic. So she goes through these 10 questions, and the alien being is not giving her the answers that she wants. She can't really articulate the answer. She's having trouble taking the imagery and correlating them to the pictures, or rather to the questions. So she starts to wonder, she starts to ask, is this being even understanding the questions that I'm asking?
And real quick, Don,
yes.
just imagine how hard it would be to speak to another unearthly unearthly being. I can only imagine what she would be going through. Everybody, it's Miss Matilda. She was one of the first ones to see the Roswell crash site, correct? She was a head nurse, you said, Don Kizzle?
Yeah, she was the only nurse. She was actually the new nurse on the base. Okay. She was the only nurse that happened to be working the graveyard shift that fateful July 8th night. So okay. It was just by luck it was literally luck of the draw that Miss Matilda was there. And everything that takes place and everything that happens to her afterwards, it almost like it was planned. But yes, she was the new nurse actually on the base, actually the newest hire. So she was low woman on the totem pole, just right place at the right times, how this story all came about for her. So we're going to flash back into the interrogation room. So as Miss Matilda's sitting there, and again, she's getting this imagery to the questions, but she knows that the imagery she's getting doesn't relate to the questions. And she knows the people that she has to talk to behind the glass. She knows that she can't come with smoke and mirrors or, "Hey, well, I asked this question, but the being gave me this picture." She's quickly understanding the magnitude of what this is. So as she's sitting there and she asks, I think it's about the 5th or 6th question, in her own mind, she wonders, does this being even understand what I'm saying? As soon as she thinks that, the being says, "Yes, as long as you think it." So that's the image that she got. She said that out loud. "Yes, as long as you think it." So the people write that down. So she's literally now in shock and awe. She's literally sitting in her chair, just mind blown, because now she's kind of figuring out, it's not words that I need to say to this being. It's mental imagery. I need to be able to formulate these questions into pictures, send them to the being, and the being will send me answers back. So quickly she puts this together and she asks for a timeout. She leaves the room. She goes back to the generals. And naturally, when she goes back into the generals, they're a bit frustrated because they need answers to these questions very, very fast. We have now the world turning upside down. We have, again, people flying in from all over the country, all over the globe to figure out what exactly this is and what kind of threat we're dealing with. So she goes back to the generals and kind of tells them, "Hey, I figured this out. I understand we're communicating telepathically. I'm just not getting any answers to your questions. She's not giving, or the being is not giving me the imagery that I'm needing to formulate a right answer. And of course, the general is asking, well, what are you getting? What are the pictures you're seeing? 120 things, everything. And she even says, she's like, at that time, I couldn't even articulate what I was seeing. So they get a bit frustrated with her. And now we're talking about day 2 now, day 3. I mean, just to give everyone a perspective, this being stayed with us for 25 days. On the 25th day, the being left the body. The body was deceased. So we're going to talk about this 25-day window. So as we go along, I'll try to keep you in the days to keep you in the story. So we're at about day 3 now. Again, little movements, things happening. But again, we got the being. We know we got it positioned. We know it's in the interrogation room. We're running tests. We're running tests on the 2 that are dead. So there's things happening. It's not like we're not making moves to get answers, and it's not like we're sitting idle. So they give Miss Matilda another list of questions, and it's about 20 questions. And of course, the 10 that were on the first one, they're mixed in there. But there's also a few other questions. There's questions in there that kind of catch Miss Matilda off guard. But at the same time, she's going to do what she's told. She's a soldier. She's going to go back in that room and ask these questions. So she goes back into the room with the being. And this time, before she can even answer the next question, the being sends an image and a message to her. And she articulates it out loud. She says, before you start asking your questions again, I need to remind you that I am the same as you. Imagine yourself captive by an enemy and you're told to give the secrets. Would you as a soldier tell them anything? And Miss Matilda's kind of sit back and she realizes, wow, that's why I'm not getting the right answers to these questions. This is a soldier. This is a captive that is not willing to speak with us, really. And
okay.
She gets a little frustrated. But
okay, and I don't want to sit here, Don Kizzle, and mess you up. I'm trying to give you the the floor and let you run through it. But I feel like I gotta kind of, I don't want to say interrogate you, but I want to jump in here real quick so it makes sense, 100%. Right? Yes. I ain't gonna lie, everybody watching y'all, this is like giving me the creeps. Like Alfred, Don Kizzle, Alfred, either you're a great liar or you truly believe this, and I believe you, Don. Real quick, it makes sense, right? You're saying that basically the reason why that's kind of a twist, right? Like that kind of shows you there's some truth into this, because who would have that train of thought, to be honest, y'all? Like, what I'm saying, that it being a soldier. So he's not speaking to her because he can't or she can't. It's because he doesn't want to continue. Yes,
exactly. So as Matilda's sitting there and she kind of smirks because she even says she has a human moment. She realizes, like, wow, like, yeah, that makes sense. Like, you're a captive. Why would you just come into a room and give us all the information? So she goes back to the generals, tells them basically, hey, we need a whole different approach. We need to look at this completely different if you want answers to these questions.
Don, real quick, what day was this? Of the 25th, what day was this?
This is about day 3 or 4. This is still at the beginning. So again, the first week or 2 was very chaotic. And of course, all of us can put ourselves there. This is something new. This is otherworldly. So just imagine the chaos that's going to ensue. And of course, like humans always do, give us a few days to process, give us a few days to understand. And especially, if I put myself as one of those generals on the base, after about a week, nothing happening, looking up at the sky, waiting for attack, eventually I would start taking down my guard a little bit and be like, okay, maybe nobody's coming for this guy. Let's go question him. Let's try to get some answers, and naturally I think that's what happened. So of course the first week is just chaotic. So we're at about day 3 or 4. And I keep saying the generals, don't think about it just like that. This is a collection of the world's most intelligent and high-ranking officials. They're all there at Roswell.
Do you think the president was privy to this?
I do.
Okay,
I do.
Continue.
Yes, I do. So Matilda gives them the answer that basically we need a different approach. And the generals don't like that, right? Of course, put yourself in military men's shoes. They want answers right away. They need answers now. And they're going to get answers, however they have to. One of the generals speaks up in the room, hey, at least we not forget, there is no such thing as torture or, withholding or enriching or anything when it comes to this being. So all of your earthly thoughts that you have in your mind right now must go out the window. So they go back to the drawing board. They figure out, okay, we need to throw everything against the wall to see what sticks, because we can't hurt this being. We can't do
Well,
anything to him. Go ahead.
it's interesting because you're saying that basically they're not trying to get nothing out of him as far as like for any kind of gain, because this is so unworldly. They're just trying to figure out what the hell is going on. Correct?
Correct. You know.
Wow.
Yep,
Go ahead,
yep.
Don. I love the way this story is going, y'all. Go ahead, Don.
Yeah. So they're caught off guard, right? So we're at about day 4. Miss Matilda's at the base. She wakes up in the morning, and Lieutenant Corso comes to her room, and she's naturally getting ready for the day, thinking she's going to go in and sit with the alien and have, you know, this amazing, get to ask, you know, have dialogue with another worldly being. Lieutenant Corso comes in and says, well, I hate to tell you this, but basically the generals have picked a different path we're going to go down. We're not asking you to leave. We're not reassigning you. We're just asking you to hang back for a couple of days and maybe, you know, be a bit of a consultant to see how this all plays out, because we're going to take a different approach at this.
Okay, so they take they pivot, right? What day is this?
Yep. This is about the 4th or 5th day.
Okay,
now. It's the morning of the 4th. It's the
okay,
morning
Don.
of the 4th.
With me watching movies and being conspiratorial and not trusting the government, would it be safe to say they started kind of come with a harder line, more of trying to dig into the alien for some kind of gain, or what was the pivot? Can you continue? Unless I'm messing up the story, go ahead.
Well, so maybe this will answer for you. The pivot was actually, and this was kind of this part of the story when I was a young man was intriguing to me, and I actually liked it because what they did was they pivoted to our human warriors. So they brought in shaman from across the world. They brought in medicine men from India.
No way.
They brought in wise men from China. They brought in anyone and everyone that had a special credential as far as something special, a practice that they had honed in for 50 plus years. They brought in those people. Now, altogether in this group, there was about 6. There was about 6 people flown in. Go ahead,
I don't mean to cut you off, Don, but why would they go this route? Did they tell you what was the reasoning behind going towards more of a, I don't want to say holistic, but this is more of a, I don't know, more supernatural. I don't know the right wording here, but why did they go this route on this situation? Did they say why they went that route?
You know, from reading the 3 books that correlate together, it felt like not desperation, but military men in the past, especially coming out of World War II, I feel like had a different spiritual understanding. You know, I felt like as the Industrial Revolution took hold in the 30s, we went through the roaring 40s, the amazing 50s, we got hardened, and it wasn't necessarily in a spiritual realm. World War II, if you ever read or study a history of World War II, there was actually quite a bit of horrific incidences, traumatic stories, but also a lot of they didn't make it through without God type stories. So there was a lot of return to a spiritual awakening after World War II. So if I put myself back in those generals' minds, I think they were just, like I said, trying to throw everything against the wall they could. And again, when you have other governments, other personnels kind of collectively coming together, there's going to be a lot of different things thrown out. I'm sure there's going to be, hey, in my country, we got, so-and-so, he's a wise man. He's an elder. He's seen, he's been around since primitive times or seen some things. Maybe he can interact. Because again, think about it. They're also trying to understand who could interact with this being. So they're reaching. They're looking for Indians, indigenous people. They're looking for everything they can. Because also too, remember in World War I, we used our Indians to run code. They were code talkers in World War I with a special language that nobody knew but them. So again, our military men knew the value of powerful people.
Well, Don Kiesel, right there, let me interject. Also, it's not unusual. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's not unusual for even police detectives local to consult with psychics, right? Even though I'm not for psychic, I'm not for none of that. But it's not too far fetched that they would take this approach due to, I guess, a history with how law enforcement, and maybe even the military, how they operate. Sometimes they just, grab whatever resources they can because maybe they don't have anything else. But continue.
Nope, 100%. And a lot of that stuff, there's been a lot of key figures in our history, especially there's a gentleman in the 1930s that, he kept counsel with presidents, with senators, with very powerful people, and he was a remote viewer, so he would go, somebody would sit with him, and he would take a mental journey and find family members, tell them what they're doing, how they're doing. Just again, there's more at play with humanity than we can give credit to. So again, back to these military generals, they were just trying everything they could. They were going to the rainforests, Brazil, anybody that was a shaman, anybody that had a special connection to the earth or claimed to, they were willing to give them a chance to interact with this being. So let's flash forward to the fourth day. Miss Matilda knows that these people are being flown in. And sure enough, she said, just like clockwork, like something out of a Hollywood movie, the planes just start hitting the runway. And they'll be, she said she kind of smirked the first gentleman that got off a plane because he was a stereotypical shaman. He came off with a head of feathers. He had a bag. He was a real medicine man.
Wow.
Flown in, I believe from Canada, somewhere up in the northern parts of Canada where that was uninhabited. Flown in. So she, as she's seeing this from her room, and again, she's not, a part of any of this process. They're just asking her to hang out at the base. Again, she's just a simple nurse. She's not a high-ranking lieutenant, general, colonel, none of that stuff. So she's only getting to see what she can see and put together the story as much as she can and what she's being told. So
hey,
she starts to see.
My bad to cut you off real quick. Did they bring any kind of Christian pastors or any spiritual leaders out of a Christian background?
Of course.
All right. Of course. Go ahead. Continue.
Yes. And if I'm not mistaken,
maybe they were Christians, right? Some of them.
Well, yeah. Again, some of these shaman, these Chinese wise men, old medicine men. I won't necessarily say they're diehard Christians, but yes, there was. Like I said, Miss Matilda talks about anyone and everyone, especially in the religious sector, was brought in to interact with this being. So anyway, as she's watching
I got to do for the Christians. Let's go, y'all. but continue. Let's go back to the story, y'all. I don't want to play too much of this clapping. I want to do the Twilight Zone. Go ahead.
Okay. So Miss Matilda, she after a couple hours gets intrigued because Lieutenant Corso had told her, like, hey, don't be afraid to kind of go around, walk around. We don't mind you walking around the room because she had always, the days prior, she talked about, even before I enter the interrogation room, I'm getting imagery from this being. So Lieutenant Corso, who is a very smart man, he wrote a very powerful book about this story. Make sure you look that up. Lieutenant Philip Corso.
He wrote about this situation?
He wrote about this crash in Roswell. Yes,
and Don, a lot of people can correlate this same message that Miss Matilda put out. Is that fair to say?
Yes and no. And no. The stories, whether purposely or not, it's very hidden, very hard to find.
Fair enough.
Once you get your hands on it, it's about I believe it's about a 500-page book. So it's not. If it doesn't intrigue you, if you're not going to sit down and dive into the story, it's a hard one to find. It's a hard one to sit and ingest because it's a long journey. And again, I'm sugarcoating over everything for everyone,
wow.
and I apologize.
And real quick, ladies and gentlemen, this will be a two-parter, right? Don Q, we're going to be two-part.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Hold on.
Oh, yeah.
Juju says, did they feed the alien or give it drinks? You said earlier it didn't even have a mouth, right? Don Q, touch on that real quick before you move on. For the people that didn't hear it.
It needed zero from our Earth atmosphere. It does not need oxygen. It does not need food. It does not need water. It is literally just a doll body that is occupied by a spiritual being. And that's the way this alien explains it to her.
And no mouth.
No mouth, no ears, just eyelids. And again, the being talks about what the eyes are for when coming to a planet like this. And it just has to do with picking up colors, rays, and heat signals. So again, eyes are important. But it's like the alien says, in your own vehicle, you have a windshield. You don't have a mouth and ears. You only need to see where you're going. You're the body. You're in control. This is just a vehicle. So that's what the reasoning that the aliens don't need mouths or ears or anything was. They don't take or need anything from this planet. They are here to observe. They just have eyes with their doll bodies.
Wow. Okay, continue.
So Miss Matilda gets bored. She's getting stir crazy in her room. So she leaves and she walks around the base and, she quickly realizes, these shaman, medicine men, wise men from around the world are all getting their chance to interact with the being. And some of them are not handling it really well. She said that one of them had a nervous breakdown.
Wow.
That had to, this was heavy for a lot of them. So anyways, as she's walking around kind of, she's observing from a distance, she starts to get imagery and she immediately runs and finds Lieutenant Corso and she tells Lieutenant Corso that she's getting imagery. And Lieutenant pulls her to the side and tells her, what are you getting? And she says, the being is saying, only her, I will not communicate. Only her, I will not communicate. So he tells this to Lieutenant Corso, and Lieutenant Corso goes in and tells all the big brains behind the glass. And of course, they kind of take it like, well, looks like old Miss Matilda's chasing that clout, trying to keep her name and the fame, not liking that we brought in people from outside. I think she's just trying to get back in the room with the bean. So they all have that conversation, right? Oh, no, she's not getting messages. She just wants to be the only one, because that's what the bean center was. Only her. I will not communicate with anyone else. I will only communicate with her. So after the full day of these shaman wise men visiting, nobody gets anywhere. I mean, not even one of them tries to make up a storyline. None of it correlates with anything. Quickly, they realize these guys are just smoke and mirror. They're not getting anywhere. So now we're going to go to the 5th day. So this is the day after everyone arrives and everyone departs to no success. So Lieutenant Corso comes to Miss Matilda, and he says, look, I apologize. I know what you told me yesterday. I tried to talk to the generals. They didn't want to hear it. They don't want to have it. They thought they had the answer. They now realize that you might be the only one to communicate. They want to know what you want to do moving forward, what you and the bean think is right. So Matilda's kind of caught off guard. She's a little paralyzed by this, because now you have the weight of the world coming down on her, asking her what to do with the bean she's only interacted with for 2 days. And the first day was a fog. The first day was la la land for Miss Matilda. She can't even remember the first day really clearly. It was that surreal, that scary for her. So again, she takes this, she understands the magnitude of this, and she takes it head on. She is the best among us. She's a 22-year-old nurse. She's ready to help humanity. She's ready to do whatever she has to do to fulfill her duty for this country. So she says yes, she's willing to go back in the room, that she's willing to sit with the bean, that that she understands that everybody took a try, that she might be the only one to communicate. So he asks her how they want to move forward, and she says she doesn't know. So she goes in the room with the bean, and they just sit there. They kind of sit there in silence, and all of a sudden the bean starts sending her imagery, basically asking for knowledge, basically asking for human history. What do we have? Where are our books? How do we categorize our time here on Earth? And Matilda's kind of caught off by that a little bit, but then she understands that maybe, and this is what she explains to the generals, that if we supply this being with information about us, she or he, the being, can communicate back to us in our language, our terminology, our understanding of history. So it's not so skewed. So it's not so off-world that I can't communicate it back to you. Because that's what was happening with a lot of the imagery Miss Matilda was getting. It was so off-world. It was things she'd never seen before. She couldn't articulate them in our language. She couldn't put words to them. So Again, the generals all agreed. They all, okay, what do we have to lose? And of course, all the books are, they're not just sending in any books, top secret information. They're all pretty loaded, pretty basic at first. Geology of the United States, different history events. They bring her the Holy Bible. The bean combs the whole entire Holy Bible, which I do want to put as a side note. That is the only religious text the bean got to read, was the Holy Bible. So just so everybody knows, in all these books and all this, go ahead,
And did he read all of it?
Cover to cover.
He could read. He could read.
The way the bean read was, it just had to run its finger over the page. It could read a book in a matter of 2 minutes.
Man,
it did not.
Don, you're freaking, bro. You pulling my leg with this story, bro. You're just too on it, bro.
Oh, never, Nino, never.
I know. So, hey, Don Q, y'all, man, awesome story. Hey, we're running up almost 9-minute marker for the end of the show. So get a stopping point. We're gonna continue on part 2. Continue, Don Kizzle.
Okay. So let me get back to ground zero. Where was I? Okay, so they start to bring in the books, and like I said, the bean's going through them.
My bad. You said it earlier. How did he read the book? My bad.
So, and this was just what Matilda observed. It was only what Matilda observed. So, and this was the only time the bean ever moved. Matilda would put the books in front and a stack of books, and she would only give the bean about 10 books at a time. Even though she would have 30, 40 books in reserves behind her, The being only wanted 10 books at a time. She believes that even at that time, the being was trying to process what it was getting, right? Like it probably had never seen Stone Age books before. I mean, with verbiage and, so again, even the being's kind of like, hey, slow it down. Let me ingest what I got and I'll keep asking and moving for more. And subjects that I'm going to want will pivot from these books is basically the imagery that the being's sending Matilda. So Miss Matilda sits there and, of course the generals, everybody behind the glass is just getting antsy as the being's combing through books because they're just wanting answers.
But Don, real quick, you're saying he's combing through the book, so he's just reading it like us, basically. Is that what you're saying?
No, well, yes and no. This is a dead silent room, minimal movement, and literally just a book in front of a being that he moves his arm in front of the book and the book's read. That's it. That's all so people behind the glass. Yes. People behind the glass. All you're seeing is subtle movement back as Matilda's moving the books off the table, read it off the table. The being's not picking up books and moving them itself. Nothing like that. These beings have no strength like that. This is a doll body. It is just a vessel. The real being is inside this doll-like body. So that's why it doesn't have no need for muscles, no need for anything. It's an electric. It's in a spiritual vibration form. The doll body is just there to be a vehicle. So it doesn't have muscles. It doesn't have books. Matilda's doing all this for it. So
okay.
So again, so here we are. The being's going through the books. And Matilda, of course, as the being's reading them, she needs to get answers. So she kind of, telepathically telling the being, hey, we're giving you some stuff. What can I tell them, and by now, they're calling them the gallery. So, excuse me, I think I used the wrong word before, but the being and Miss Matilda had come up from the word from what the being had said, the gallery, because the being knew they were there. The being knew the whole time. And that's what the alien being had shared with Miss Matilda, why he had said nothing to the shaman and wise men that come in, because the being told her, you can say and ask all the questions you want. I know your mental perception. I know what your true intentions are. So every single one of those people that came in this room had a different intention for me than what they were trying to say and what they were trying to ask.
Wow.
That's why I didn't communicate with them. So just so you know, that's how powerful these beings are. They don't need you to talk to them or communicate. They already know who and what you are from just coming in your presence, from just picking up your brainwave. So again, Miss Matilda asked her, hey, I need something. So basically the being says, look, I understand the gallery is getting a little weary. I can feel them getting a little antsy. Let me get through what I need to get through, and I will answer some of your questions, but I will give you a history lesson on your humanity and how long humans have been here on this rock. We're going to stop the story there, Nino, but what I'm going to leave you with, real quick.
That's good. Go ahead, bro. Wow, this is one of my best lines right here. Continue, Don, my bad.
Well, real quick, we're going to leave it there, but one thing I want to leave everybody with is I'm going to read a little poem, and I'm going to try to make it quick, but the context of this poem, and we'll talk about this person later in our story because it is a key figure, but I'm just going to throw this out there for you just so you can kind of have an idea of where this story is going to go. There was a wise man in China, in ancient China, and this ties into the story, but he was so smart or so wise and so intelligent as who he was in this being in this universe that he had figured out all the secrets to life. He had figured out how everything works. And I know that's hard for people to understand, but this is just the story, right? So in ancient China, it was kind of a rule when you got old and you felt like it was your time, with dignity, you would go out into the forest and die. You would just go have, whatever, just go out into the forest and die, go away from the village. So this old man starts to leave the village because he feels it's his time to die. And one of the guards at the gate sees him and he realizes who he is. And he knows that this old man has secrets. So before he goes, he says, old man, before you go out into the wilderness and die, please tell me the secrets of the world so that I may be able to help my children. The old man looks at the guard and he says these words. He who looks will not see it. He who listens will not hear it. He who gropes will not grasp it. The formless non-entity, the motionless source of motion, the infinite essence of the spirit is the source of life. Spirit is self. Walls form to support a room, yet the space in between is most important. A pot is formed of clay, yet the space therein is most useful. Action is caused by the force of nothing on something, just as the nothing of spirit is the source of all form. One suffers great affliction because one has a body. Without a body, what affliction would one suffer? When one cares more for the body than his own soul, one becomes the body and loses the way of the spirit. The self, the spirit, creates illusion, and the delusion of man is that reality is not an illusion. He who creates illusions and makes them more real than reality follows the way and the path to the stars.
Mm.
I know it was deep, but that's where we'll end, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you, it's freaking deep. To be honest, Don, we'll wrap it up right here, y'all. This is the end of the story. Twilight Tuesday will continue next Tuesday. We're gonna be doing this every Tuesday, y'all. We're gonna have awesome paranormal / supernatural stories. I mean, we've talked about giants, flat Earth on Instagram, y'all. Just different stuff, y'all. And we're just gonna touch on different topics, not just politics, y'all. We wanna broaden our team and our show and our reach, y'all, to a higher level, y'all. We want to do shows every day of the week if possible, God willingly. And this is the springboard to that. Hey, Don Q, it's pretty crazy this story you're telling me. It's awesome, and we made it a conscious decision, bro, not to cam you up. Can you tell the people why you not refused, but we chose to not put you on the camera, Don? Because I kind of felt that when you were speaking, I'm like, I want to clear everything out. I just want to listen like a podcast. Can you explain why you didn't want to get cammed up, Don?
For me, I like story and audio form. I like sitting back and being in my imagination, almost closing my eyes and just going along with the journey. And that's the way I like to tell my story. So sometimes when I'm on camera and I wish I had your confidence. I wish I had your strength. Sometimes I worry about, my hair. I worry about my facial expressions and all of these things. But in having that thought running through my mind, it takes me away from the story. It doesn't allow me to go back to 1947 with Miss Matilda, walk through the buildings and see everything with her so that I can articulate it back to you. So it was a conscious decision of my own, because in this story, there is an important message, and there's a reason that it found every single one of our viewers and listeners. So that's why, for me, this was a lot more than just a simple story. There's a lot more to it, as you'll hear in the next chapters.
Yeah, I totally agree. And to be honest, even me, I'm just sitting here making faces. I mean, what can I do? I'm hearing the story, but these are the kind of things that you got to sit here and soak up. And to be honest, I mean, this is what we turned off the comments that one time for that. I forgot her name. We did the interview the other day with Miss Lizzie.
Miss Lizzie.
And we just want to focus on the story at hand. A great story, Don Kizzle. This is you spun a good one, Don Q, and I believe you. Real quick, I don't know if you have to leave, Don, but you're privy to this knowledge. How are you privy to this knowledge? Can you speak on that?
It's one thing I've never shared with you, and one thing I want the viewers to understand why Don Q has such a perception on life. As a young child, I came from a broken home, but later in life, my parents tried to do the best they could for us. They didn't get back together, but what happened was, at 9 years old, my mom moved next door to my dad. So they were neighbors, and they were the best of neighbors. They were they were best friends. My mom would come over and do my dad's laundry. My dad would do barbecues and invite my mom and her boyfriend over. This is the world Don Q grew up in. So my dad was always a pastor, deacon of the church, heavy Bible thumper. My mom was a surfing hippie from Mission Beach that had a different view and a different perspective on life. She was really big into astrology and outer world stuff. So I got to live both worlds to the T. I got to go to church. I got to sit around very, very wise men of the Bible talking about the end times and rapture. And I was a 5-year-old kid running around the table telling them, I'll be left behind after the rapture. And all of them stood up and they said, you don't know what you're talking about. You won't want to be left behind. It'll be hell on earth. But at 5 years old, something inside of me told, no, there's more to this story. There's more than what's going on. So that's what I mean. I grew up in a different perspective. I got to enjoy the line. I got to ride the fence, and like I said, and why I like telling the story, is a lot of people are going to think that these stories or these things will take you further and further away from God. I went all the way out on the rim, all the way out on the edge. And I'm here to tell you, it comes full circle back to the Creator. It comes full circle back to God. And it's a neat journey. It's a neat story. You have to have an open mind. I'm not saying it's true. I'm not saying it's factual. This is just a different perspective to look at the world, because we are one of those stars out there in the universe that you see at night. We're just a speck of dust, just like the rest of them. So could be a lot more at play here in our universe and our galaxy than we pretend to know.
Fair enough. Hey, and we got some people in the chat saying that they already Googled it and found the story, but I'll tell you right now, they ain't gonna tell you the story like Don Kizzle has told you, y'all. I really salute you, Don. You really spun a good one, and I think we got a hit with Twilight Tuesday, y'all. So be me and Don Q every Tuesday bringing you this fire content. I hope y'all liked it. Please comment, like, and subscribe to the channel, y'all. We thank y'all, Team Nino, from me to the Patriots out there, y'all. We're doing something a little bit differently, y'all. We're trying to grow and expand, and to be quite honest, this is to segue a little bit off of here, but the reason why we're doing this content is because the thought police are on our case, y'all. So, I mean, it's nice to talk about politics all the time, y'all, but you got to throw a little curveball every now and then to keep the social media thought police off your case. I've been denied monetization on YouTube the 4th time already, y'all. It's pretty sad. In my case, I'm very discouraged by it, but I'm gonna keep on fighting. But they deny my monetization on YouTube, y'all, meaning I cannot collect any funds over the content that I make, right? That's just how it is at this point, y'all. They're not gonna allow me to place ads or just different things with the monetization, and it does discourage me sometimes. But we keep fighting, everybody, because it's not about the money, right? But at the same time, everybody, we're trying to build these platforms and get bigger, and with monetization comes more tools and more access to I guess better to get put in a better position or situation, y'all. But anyways, the point of this is we want to just push different kind of content. We want to change the culture and talk about cultural issues, and this is one of the points that we like to talk about. It's conspiratorial, and it's interesting to say the least. Anyways, Don Q, final words for the Patriots. Go ahead.
Once again, I just want to tell everybody out there, thank you so much for coming down for Story Hour and enjoying this time with us. I've got about 30 minutes. I'm going to be stepping into a big meeting where I get to kind of make my voice heard in my community. So any additional prayers for God giving me, the right words and the strength right now, I appreciate. But as always, keep up the good fight out there. I love each and every one of you. Don't forget to hug somebody. Don't forget to show some love to your neighbor. We're going to change this world day by day by acts like that. So
Amen.
We'll see you down the road. I appreciate every one of you.
All right. God bless you, Don Kizzle. God bless.
God bless you too. Thanks, Nino.
And that's Don Q, y'all. Thank y'all for joining us. Let me remove some of this stuff here, y'all. I kind of was upset, y'all. My intro was kind of I don't know what happened, but you know what? That's what happens when you go live, and you got to make mistakes to continue ahead. And that's what we're going to do, y'all. We're just going to continue fighting, leading the way. We're innovators, y'all. We do a lot of stuff on social media, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, whatever. And we're just trying to, continue innovating and inspiring and motivating. Amen. So God bless everybody watching right now, y'all. If you can, the way you can help us, if you see the live stream, share it. If you're on Facebook, share it. I'm currently in Facebook jail, but somehow I'm able to post over there. I believe I'm on Facebook. Let me see. Do I have anybody commenting from Facebook? Don't look like it. Wow, I guess they finally got a good block on me, y'all, because somebody did comment from Facebook. So I guess I am on Facebook live streaming, but again, y'all, I'm in Facebook jail, like 27 more days, 26 more days. Censorship is real, shadow banning is real, but we got to throw a curveball at these, you know what? I don't want to say the rest. I don't want to continue blabbering, y'all. Thank y'all for joining us, everybody. This is a special show that we got lined up. My producer Christy has a show lined up tomorrow with it's another accuser, right, of Bill Clinton. Okay, this woman will share her testimony tomorrow. It's going to be an awesome, heart-wrenching, teardropper. Same thing with Juanita Broderick. If you enjoyed that interview, y'all, Juanita gave us this contact info. Christy secured the interview. I was supposed to do it like a month back, but I got sick, and thank God I beat the China flu. If I even had it, I don't even know. But Christy secured the interview for tomorrow. I believe 6 p.m. Texas time, y'all, and it's going to be another accuser of Bill Clinton. We're going to have her on here, and you be the judge if you believe her or not. But again, we're going to have her on here tomorrow, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. Again, thank you for joining us, everybody. God bless you. I hope you have a blessed night. Have a great week, y'all, and make it a good one. I got to go, everybody. From the state of Texas, it's your fellow patriot, Nino America. God bless you in the name of Jesus Christ, our Lord. You're an American. You're a patriot. You got grit. Act like it. I'm out.